Next news, breaking news.
Oh, it was a glorious sight today in the press briefing room. The fake news media just got absolutely eviscerated at the White House podium. And wait till you see this. While 6 American heroes made the ultimate sacrifice defending our nation against the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, the mainstream press wasn't interested in Operation Epic Fury's crushing success over Iran. No, they wanted to weaponize American casualties to make President Trump look bad. Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt saw right through their disgusting game and called them out in spectacular fashion. Caitlin Collins took a direct hit, and what she said left those so-called journalists completely speechless. Now, here's what the media mob doesn't want you to understand. It's not about headlines. It's about your safety. It's about your family's future. Iran, the regime that chants death to America and funds terrorists worldwide, they were building nuclear weapons and stockpiling ballistic missiles designed to reach American soil. President Trump said enough. Operation Epic Fury has seized control of Iranian airspace and waterways without a single boot on the ground. We are dictating the terms of this conflict, not the mullahs in Tehran. But what does the dishonest press focus on? They're trying to turn every battlefield development into an attack on our commander-in-chief. Think about what that means for you. If the media successfully undermines public support for defending America, if they convince enough people that protecting our troops overseas isn't worth it, what happens the next time that Iran's proxies attack? What happens when they finally get that nuclear weapon? The press isn't just biased. They're actively working against American national security interests, and Karoline Leavitt just exposed their entire playbook. And you know what? While we're watching the press secretary defend our fallen heroes from media exploitation, there's another national security story the mainstream media is completely ignoring. Iran is destabilizing the Middle East, and our government just made a massive move to secure America's uranium supply. And here's what they don't want you to know. We burn through 50 million pounds of uranium per year for our nuclear subs, our warheads, but we only mine less than 1 million pounds ourselves. That's a 50-to-1 gap. That screams national security crisis. January 14th this year, the president signed a Section 232 executive order, basically an emergency declaration to rebuild our uranium independence. Just days before, the Department of Energy locked in $2.7 billion in contracts. It's not theory. It's happening now. And Atomic Minerals, trading as ATMMF in the U.S. and ATOM in Canada, is positioned right in the Colorado Plateau, where America historically produced 600 million pounds of uranium. You need to check this out. There's a full briefing that's been prepared just for Next News viewers. Do your due diligence. Check the briefing. It's linked below. Let's get back to how the press secretary just demolished the media's disgraceful attack on our Gold Star families. Yeah, this is what the mainstream media doesn't want you to see. While they're busy crying crocodile tears and pretending to care about our service members, Democrat politicians are actively trying to stop the operation protecting American troops in the Middle East. That's right, they want to debate and delay while Iran regroups. And Secretary Hegseth dropped a truth bomb, sending shockwaves through the press room about who's really controlling the conflict. And I'm going to show you right now exactly what is happening. Here we have this live update. Pentagon releases names of 4 of the 6 service members killed in Iran. Secretary Hegseth said the Tactical Operations Center where the service members were killed was fortified. 1 projectile made its way through U.S. air defenses. Please pray for our troops. Pray for their families. They are grieving right now. But this breaking news about our fallen heroes becomes the ammunition for the media's political games against Trump. The American Solidarity Party of Wisconsin, never heard of it, Pete Hegseth has declared that the press only wants to make the president look bad and should report the reality. It's true. They write, this is the reality. 6 Americans, over 1,000 Iranian military members, at least 200 civilians, among them 150 young children. Yeah, that's sad. Sadly, that is the cost of war. But Hegseth's fighting back against the press vultures trying to spin American deaths into anti-Trump propaganda. But it was Caitlin Collins who took the direct hit. You know, she's a casualty of war today. It happened in the press room. I'm just going to let you watch it because the exchange was a nuclear bomb. It's like the Department of War launched a ballistic missile at CNN headquarters. See for yourself.
Given what Secretary Hegseth said this morning, is it the position of this administration that the press should not prominently cover the deaths of U.S. service members?
No, it's the position of this administration that the press in this room and the press across the country should accurately report on the success of Operation Epic Fury and the damage it is doing to the rogue Iranian regime that has threatened the lives of every single American in this room. If the Iranian regime had their choice, they would kill every single person in this room. And so we can all be very grateful that we have an administration and that we have men and women in our armed forces who are willing to sacrifice their own lives for the rest of us in this room and for every American across the country and for every troop that is based in the Middle East. That's what these...
Secretary Hegseth was complaining that it was front page news about these 6 service members who were killed.
That's not what the Secretary said, Caitlin, and that's not what the Secretary meant, and you know it. You know you are being disingenuous. There is not... We've never had a Secretary of Defense who cares more.
Drones get through or tragic things happen. It's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad. Yeah, as you know, we cover the deaths of U.S. service members under every president.
The press does only want to make the president look bad. That's a fact. Especially you. No, listen to me. Especially you and especially CNN. And the Secretary of Defense cares deeply about our war fighters and our men and women in uniform. He travels all across this country to meet with them, to connect with them, and your network has hardly ever probably reported on that. You also had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Chairman Kane, who's a brave patriot, standing alongside the Secretary at the Pentagon this morning, again expressing his condolences to these families. And I just told you that the President of the United States will be attending their dignified transfer. So please,
that's not making the president look bad. That's showcasing that.
We expect you to cover that as you should. We expect you to cover that as you should, Caitlin. But you and your network know that you take every single thing this administration says and tries to use it to make the president look bad. That is an objectable fact.
I don't think covering troop deaths is trying to make
if you're trying to argue right now that CNN's overwhelming coverage is not negative of President Donald Trump, I think the American people would tend to agree, and your ratings would tend to disagree with that as well.
Oh yeah, the CNN headquarters is on fire right now. That was a moment for the ages in exchange and will go down in history. Karoline Leavitt, probably one of the greatest press secretaries I've ever seen. But the media doubling down on their sick attacks, actually arguing they have the right to weaponize our dead soldiers for political attacks. Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs writes, here's the reality. Pete Hegseth is minimizing. We lost 6 service members. She says, when you make stupid, short-sighted decisions about war like this, it's my constituents in San Diego who are the ones sent into harm's way to potentially die.
This is what the fake news misses. We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step.
Pete Hegseth laying it out. We've taken control of Iran's airspace, waterways without boots on the ground. A Democrat politician jumps in to pile on, proving exactly what Hegseth said about exploiting tragedy for political gain. Now here's another exchange that took place in the briefing room today. Fireworks, my friends.
I completely reject the premise of your question. You have had the President of the United States, the Secretary of War, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, the Vice President of the United States, the Secretary of State, and now I am out here today to explain to you exactly what led the President to make the decision to launch Operation Epic Fury. And President Trump does not make these decisions in a vacuum. This decision to launch this operation was based on a cumulative effect of various direct threats that Iran posed to the United States of America, and the president's feeling based on fact that Iran does pose an imminent and direct threat to the United States of America, based on the fact that they are the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, based on the fact that they were rapidly and aggressively building up their ballistic missile program to give themselves immunity within their country alongside their Navy, so that inside their country they could continue to create nuclear weapons and nuclear bombs, which would, of course, pose a risk to Americans in the region and even Americans one day here at home. And then another point on this is the president found that through these extensive, exhaustive, failed negotiations with Iran, that they were hell-bent on death and destruction. So again, the president was not going to be just another president on a very long list who sat back and stood by and passed the buck of this direct threat to the next administration. The president had a feeling, again, based on fact, that Iran was going to strike the United States, was going to strike our assets in the region, and he made a determination to launch Operation Epic Fury based on all of those reasons. And I would like the media to actually report on all of them, rather than just picking sound bites from one person in this administration and saying, oh, they're contradicting the other person. No, again, these decisions are not made in a vacuum. They are made by the president's feeling that Iran was going to strike the United States and our assets in the region, and he was not going to sit back and watch that happen. The determination was made that the president was going to strike first alongside Israel, and that has obviously been proven to be the right decision and an effective one at that.
So here's the truth the establishment media is desperate to hide from you. You see, America is winning. President Trump launched Operation Epic Fury based on cumulative intelligence showing Iran posed an imminent threat to every single American. And the regime that would kill every person in that press room if they had the chance is now watching helplessly as we dismantle their military capabilities piece by piece. Over 1,000 Iranian military targets eliminated. Their airspace, it belongs to us. Their waterways, now controlled. But the fake news doesn't celebrate American dominance. They don't honor our heroes by telling the full story of their mission's success. Instead, they amplify enemy propaganda and Democrat talking points designed to weaken American resolve. You just saw it. Karoline Leavitt stood at that podium and told them the truth that they refused to report. This administration will never apologize for protecting America. So, Patriots, what you have just witnessed was the Trump administration drawing a line in the sand against media manipulation during wartime. Our brave men and women in uniform deserve coverage that honors their sacrifice and their mission's success, not partisan hit pieces designed to score political points against their commander-in-chief. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think the mainstream media is deliberately undermining American military operations to hurt President Trump? Yes or no? Drop your answer below. Let's get the conversation going. And make sure you share this video with every patriot who needs to see how the fake news operates. And if you haven't done so yet, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss when we expose the media's games. And if you want to show your support for independent conservative journalism, check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. For the Next News Network, I'm reminding you to stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.